Wait, there's something very weak coming through.
I've been running scams on the street since I was 10. I was kicked out of the flight academy for having a mind of my own. I'm gonna be a pilot. Best in the galaxy.
Hey, kid. I'm putting together a crew. You in?
That's yes.
I might be the only person. Who knows what you really are?
What's that?
Get ready.
Thought we were in trouble there for a second, but it's fine. We're fine.
A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away.
Hello, fellow Galactic listeners. I'm Todd Hoffman, and this is WSTR Galactic Public Access, a Star Wars podcast. Welcome to episode 124. Today we'll be looking back at Solo, a Star Wars story, which is celebrating a one-year anniversary. Joining me today, as always, is Miss Heather Allred. Oh, she has the night off. Mr. Aaron Julian. Oh, he has the night off. That's okay, because I'm not flying solo today, because I have two fine gentlemen that we met at Celebration in Chicago. Jeremy Myers.
Yep, I'm here.
Awesome. And then Greg Ferrero.
Hey, Todd. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you.
Welcome.
All right. So, gents, we got to, since we're doing Solo, a Star Wars story, we need to find out what your Star Wars story is. So, Greg, why don't you give the listeners a little bit background about who you are and how you like Star Wars?
Oh, man, where to begin? My Star Wars story begins seeing the TIE Advance X1 in the intro theme song to the Muppet Babies, and TK421 guarding his post in the Millennium Falcon in A New Hope. Throwing some Ewok movies, Star Wars Micro Machines, borrowing a friend's old trilogy for VHS copies. Shout out to Air Force Chaplain Matt on that one. Action figures, and of course Star Tours at Disneyland. You have a pretty solid base of my early Star Wars childhood foundation.
There you go.
Yep. Fast forward a little. I received my own copies of the first THX Star Wars trilogy on VHS in the mid-90s, which were on constant loop during the school time breaks. Even to the point where I could recite most every line of the original trilogy, or at least tell you who said what to whom, and everything that surrounded that immediate scene.
Awesome.
But things eventually evolved into various video games. You got your Dark Forces, Rebel Assault 2, Super Star Wars. The special editions and prequels kept the spark going from the late 90s to early 2000s, with additional games being played such as The Force Unleashed and Republic Commando and Knights of Republic, and which I understand there may be some speculative news that's recently dropped in this realm.
Possibly.
Possibly. But, there was a little lull and things kind of fizzled out. Wasn't really into the Clone Wars for a couple years. But then, however, once the news landed in October 2012 that Disney purchased Lucasfilm and we'd be getting new content from movies, shows, and beyond, the excitement of my childhood rushed back in the most spectacular way. Just being able to enmesh myself deeper into the further story and lore of Star Wars, ultimately leading me here and to Celebration and to do this podcast with you, and I'm beyond ecstatic.
Nice. That was definitely like a hyperspace travel through your through your life. That's awesome. That's great.
Yep.
All right, Jeremy, you're up.
Yeah, I can't follow that. I think he's got me beat. I think mine begins being born just over a month before the New Hope was dropped. So
Right.
I share 1977 in common with the creator, and I was late to the party. I definitely enjoyed the movies growing up. Same thing, VHS, and we would go on vacation. I remember a place that had them on Laserdisc, and it was the coolest thing ever, seeing Empire Strikes Back on a Laserdisc and seeing this awesome,
There you go.
never, I don't know, never really had the toys growing up. My cousins, they had them, played with them, and then the prequel, trilogy came out, and all my college buddies were like, "Hey, we're gonna go see movies. You want to come?" And like, I'm not gonna miss the boat. I'm gonna get on, and so then saw those, and then didn't really know that my cousin here, Greg, he had the bug for Star Wars so bad, and learned a lot from him, and he's pulled me in and brought me to the dark side of the Force with the rest of the fanatics out here. So I'm like hook, line, and sinker. Anytime a book comes out, as soon as I can get it, I download it and Audible and listening to it, and yeah. So
There you go. So, and then this was this both your first celebration? Is that correct?
Yeah, this is my first celebration.
And what were your expectations going into Celebration?
Oh man, I honestly didn't know what to expect. I mean, they switched up everything this year with the lottery system, so that was just something that was completely new, whereas people used to have to wait outside to get into these panels. You weren't guaranteed anything, so going into cold Chicago weather was a little jarring, so to speak, but I was just not prepared for the magnitude of what I was prepared to see, and just seeing so many different fans with so many different points of view, being enlightened on different things, and just knowing that there's so many different, from beginners to advanced Jedi masters that know
Right.
far less and far more than
Right.
me. So it was just a great experience.
Cool. Jeremy, how about you?
yeah, I went into it. I was harassed probably and teased a lot going into it. Oh, you're going to a nerd convention, and like, what do you want to do that for? And I was like, you know what? I love the movies, and I've been trying to go to Comic-Con for years, and I've been, I'm enamored by all the, just the lore that Star Wars had. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go check it out. I'm kind of gonna be a wingman to Greg because he was the diehard,
Yes.
and
Right.
we slowly planned our trip. As the time got, I think we ramped up like the last week when we really planned most of what we were gonna do, but. It was kind of that I was going to be whatever he wanted to, go see. And I told him, I was like, what?
Yeah.
I'm not going to,
What a supportive cousin.
yeah, I'm not going to spend all my time there. I want to go see Chicago, and I'm not going to, get too trapped into it. And then once I got there, it was game over. It was like, yeah.
All the planning went straight in the bucket, man.
Yeah, it was unbelievable.
Cool. So out of that experience, you're like, okay, Star Wars is all right.
Yeah. No,
It's just
It's
okay.
okay. It's okay. Yeah.
I got to meet some fine folks there, like yourself and many others.
Yeah, no, again, we mentioned this a couple weeks ago, but Aaron and I were going into the Star Wars podcast meetup, and it was at the local bar next to the hotel. I think it was the Hyatt, and we were sitting outside, and that's where we met you two fine gentlemen. And we never went into the podcast meetup. We're like, hey, we're just having so much fun talking about the trailer and talking about Star Wars, and it was a beautiful night in Chicago, and just didn't want to leave that experience. So and here we are, happy accidents, man. So
exactly,
it's the Force. So glad you guys are here. Glad you still like Star Wars, and here you are in Star Wars podcast. So but we are definitely going to be talking about Solo. But first, We got to pay the bill. So you can check us out on social media at WSTR Media, all one word, all lowercase. You can email us at mailbox@wstrmedia.com. You can leave us a voicemail at 630-557-WSTR, 630-557-9787. Operators are standing by. No, it's just a voicemail, but we'll listen to it and we can play it on an upcoming episode. You can catch out our back catalog of episodes at podcast.wstrmedia.com. We're on YouTube. Just search us search WSTR Media. You can find us right there. Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. That's right. You can get a free Audible book download at 30-day free trial at www.audibletrial.com/WSTR. They have like 425,000 titles to choose from, your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. Again, you can listen to it for 30 days free. And if you don't like it, you can cancel your subscription and keep the book forever. But I highly recommend Audible. It's great. Jeremy, you mentioned this. You are now hooked on to all the Audible books. How's your experience? Do you find them enjoyable listening through an Audible system?
I do. I never was into studying, so books were not my thing. So
right,
getting a chance to hear it and actually, like the Dooku book, hearing a cast read it out, was amazing. Yes. So it makes time fly when I'm driving long hours. So it's perfect.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, again, I've been an avid reader, but now I'm commuting a lot more, and so I have to drive, and it definitely fills the time, and it's great because you get somebody narrating it to you. You're like, oh, this is great. So so you could try your Audible book at audibletrial.com/WSTR. You win, we win. It's a win-win. So we also got merch. You can check out our merch at store.wstrmedia.com. We got t-shirts, mugs, hoodies, anything you need is right there at store.wstrmedia.com. Heather usually teases news, but I am going to tease it today. Okay, we got Vanity.
Yep.
Solo ? Hunting, and the last one, aren't you a little short for a stormtrooper? So you're gonna have to wait for that. But those are the teas for the news this week. All right. Next up is Twitter trash compactor.
Get in there, you big polio! I don't care what you smell! Get in there, don't worry about it!
All right, every week we run a poll on the old Twitter, and this week the poll was, all right, guys, here we go. What is your favorite scene in The Phantom Menace? So last week we literally reached the 20-year anniversary of Phantom Menace. So here's our 4 choices.
Shoot.
Always a Bigger Fish, the Bunta Eve pod race, everything about Coruscant, and then obviously Jedi versus Sith fight. Greg, out of the 4 choices, what would be your favorite scene in The Phantom Menace?
Oh, Jedi versus Sith fight.
Boom. All right. Pretty epic scene. It's a little bit better than Obi-Wan and Darth Vader in A New Hope.
A little bit more action.
A little bit more action. You got a little Dual Fates in the background with John Williams.
Excellent score.
Excellent score for that piece. All right, Jeremy. What's it?
Yeah, I gotta agree with that.
Okay.
After having the break and then seeing that movie again, I remember seeing that for the first time.
Yes.
Just Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan taking on Maul and this battle, and then seeing Obi-Wan just have to watch his master just disappear on him.
Yeah.
That's the fish was pretty amazing too. That's a close second.
Yeah. Close second. Yeah. I mean, again, seeing Coruscant, it was always teased in the EU. We got a little bit of that in the special edition. But seeing it on screen was pretty amazing. But I mean, the pod racing is great too. It's like a 10-minute NASCAR race in Star Wars, which is great. But really, you can't. John Williams' score and the visuals and the fighting for Darth versus Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan it's top notch. It's the best thing about Phantom Menace, I think. So Twitter agreed with us, 82%, not even close. It was the bee's knees, I think. I don't know. It was
Exactly.
Well,
everything in a bag of chips for that. So that was the Twitter trash compactor. All right, gentlemen, it's already time. It's already time. Let us move on to our main topic.
And now for our feature presentation.
All right, so literally today of this recording, we're recording on Saturday. There's a couple anniversaries going around. Return of the Jedi, 36 years, came out on May 25th, 1983. We wouldn't have this podcast if this didn't happen 42 years ago. May 25th, 1977, Star Wars came out. Yeah,
Yep.
Star
How
Wars
far
came
we've
out.
come.
Yes, we've come a long way since then. And then also a little sci-fi, May 25th, 1979, Aliens came out.
Wow.
So another great sci-fi trilogy, and that one is the best. Aliens is good too with James Cameron, but the first one is pretty dope. But we're talking about a little baby today. Solo came out May 25th, 2018. So, if you've been living under a rock, this was something that George actually had cooked up before he sold it to Disney. He was developing a prequel for this, and tasked Lawrence Kasdan, who famously wrote Empire Strikes Back. And so he's like, hey, can you write on the screenplay? He sold it to Disney, 2012 for a cool $4 billion. Kasdan is then hired to help JJ write Force Awakens in 2015. So he lets his little son, he's like, hey, Jonathan, you got this. You can write Solo. So he's working on Solo. They wrap up Force Awakens and they start shooting in January 2017 at Pinewood Studios, directed by Phil Lord and Christopher Miller. They got fired. June 2017, so 6 months into shooting for, I'm using air quotes here, people, creative differences.
Business talk.
Business talk. Literally a couple days later, they hired Ron Howard, Willow fame, was featured on American Graffiti with George.
Great movie.
He's directed quite a few movies under his belt. So the estimated budget was $275 million dollar bills. Solo is technically one of the most expensive films made. And originally, when they were talking about this, they were like, hey, he's just picking up the last piece of the creative differences part. He's just going to finish this up. Well, come to find out, he pretty much recorded 70% of the film is redone in Ron Howard style. So it was crazy. So here's the thing. It's really the first Star Wars franchise to be considered a box office bomb, grossing $392 million worldwide, thus becoming the lowest grossing live action film in the franchise. Boo. So really, domestically, it made $213 million, roughly, but the foreign market, it didn't do well in the foreign market at all. It was $179 million, and that's where you get my math's not really good, but you get 392. It was nominated for an Academy Award. So that's something. That's something. So it was awarded for visual effects, Academy Award, nominated for visual effects. Here's the competition. Avengers Infinity War, Ready Player One, Disney's Christopher Robin, and First Man.
I love it.
I don't know. When I saw this, I was like, it's got a chance. Out of those, I was like, well, I mean, Ready Player One is very CGI. So is Christopher Robin for being a children's thing. I never saw First Man, and obviously Infinity War, it's got some chops.
Just a little.
Just a little. So I was like, I'm thinking Infinity War, and as you know, on the Academy Awards, no matter what you think it is, it's not the choice. And First Man actually won for this. So Star Wars hasn't won an Academy Award in a while. But yeah, it was at least for all the trouble it went through it, at least it got an Academy Award nomination for visual effects.
Yeah.
So
the visual effects are amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen it a couple times this week and it's just seeing the bonus features and seeing how they turn a car into a speeder and seeing how
isn't that great?
Yeah.
That's why don't we dive into it? So what I'll start with you, Jeremy. What's your overall take about Solo? What did you think about it?
We there's a group of us that have made probably the last including Rogue One. So with the two 7 and 8 and Rogue One and Solo, we go religiously and then we have this little group up afterwards and we talk about it and we hang out right in front of the movie theater and probably tick a lot of people off that we're sitting out there talking about it. But yeah.
Spoilers.
It didn't leave a good taste in my mouth and I was like, but it was like Rogue One where you know that there's, you kind of know the continuation of it. So it's not like 7. When 7 came out, there's going to be more and you're left with, okay, what's going to happen? Han Solo is going to Tatooine. He's, going to join the Hutts or so it's
right. We're for Jabba.
I think watching it again, then I finally, it grew on me. I can see where there's not the, Jedi and there's not the fighting that takes place in, the big movies, and it's not the, the theatrical masterpieces that all the other ones are, and it's this little story, and the little stories matter, and that's what I've learned in the books, and this story did matter.
All right, Greg, what's your thoughts on Solo?
Well, I try to approach Star Wars just like any other one. I don't have expectations of any movie. It's fun to speculate it.
That's impossible.
No, I mean, I don't. I mean, other than expecting to be wowed and have a good time, not like, a story has to go this way or that way. I just want to have a good time and let it all tie into the lore and make sense to me.
Gotcha.
So, I mean, following this from the celebration where the news broke about, they're going to be doing a Solo movie, I was like, okay, slow clap, great, but, I was like, okay, this could be fun, but there were a few others that I were hoping that would take that spot. But yeah, I walked into Solo and I just knew that there was going to be no super severe ramifications to the galaxy as it pertains to the saga that's already been told. So I kind of let that be my base foundation. And what I ended up finding was just a movie that I really thoroughly enjoyed, learning a little bit more about Han Solo, learning about Lando Calrissian, who Donald Glover plays just an amazing Lando. It's just spectacular. Just everything that surrounds that. And then obviously the crescendo at the end with Maul showing up, knowing everything I know about Clone Wars and Rebels and all this kind of stuff. And that's what blew my mind. And it gave me I walked away feeling really good about the movie.
Okay. Yeah, that's great. Kind of same with you guys. Like I get a group of guys together and we do a guys night and
nice.
Solo was our biggest. We had the most people going to Solo for that one, but since Disney bought it, we'd kind of done the same thing, like go out to eat and then we're going to go see Star Wars and make a night out of it. there were some mixed reactions coming out of it. But overall, Greg, I think you hit it right in the head. It's just like the overall ramifications in the Star Wars timeline. You're not going to see that in this film, but there's enough meat in there where you can get a little bit out of it. You know, there's still some twists and turns and stuff like that. And you get to kind of see that history that we all know and love between, you know, Han and Chewie, and obviously Lando, which was, I think it did that. But yeah, I think it's just mixed reactions because it's like, it's not Harrison Ford, you know, but I think, you know, why am I Aaron Reich, I think he did a phenomenal job acting wise. Well. I thought he pretty much delivered. And even I really feel that last scene between him and Enfys Nest is like straight up, he encapsulated what Han Solo is and from a character perspective. Mm-hmm. So I thought that was cool. So I mean, overall, I did enjoy it, and I thought it did well. So follow-up question. So everything we just said, do you feel like Solo delivered, Greg?
Yes. I think it delivered and it did its job. It made me wanting more. Maybe in a television format, something in that regard. It was fun. It was good to see. But yeah, I mean, overall, I felt good. That I didn't feel like overwhelmed like I would maybe the saga films, but I felt good. You know?
Yeah. Jeremy, what say you, man?
Yeah, you know, I think I hit it a little bit, but seeing it again, and then again, I think it, like Greg said, it left me wanting more, because there was little bits of, you know, morsels that were in it enough to know that, okay, there is a big gap between what we've seen of the saga films, and then we get this, and then we're now Enfys Nest is, you know, sparking the, you know, help the rebellion kind of, you know, start, and then you've got Han taking off to go, you know, with the Hutts, and Kira is just, you know, she's going to Dathomir to meet, you know, Maul, and so there's all these stories that are left, you know, just untold, and you know, it's
yeah.
So I think, you know, that couple days ago, the Make Solo 2 Happen Day was I think, you know, big. It was pretty exciting to be a part of and be out there.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah. So if you're not familiar with that, the Resistance podcast, they've been kind of ramping up on this, but May 23rd, they said hashtag Make Solo 2 happen, and it kind of took off. Yeah. Jeremy's wearing the shirt, man.
Supporting the team
tonight. Yeah, that's right. So here they said this. This is one of their tweets. Thank you for making Make Solo 2 Happen Day a huge success. Top trending in U.S. and international with support from Ron Howard, John Caston, Jonas Sumuto, that's Chewbacca. I butchered that name. I'm sorry, Jonas. And we know Disney and Lucasfilm saw it too. Keep it going and see what happens. Thank you. Hashtag Star Wars. Pretty. I mean, again, talk about, you know, just a fun little fan thing. It's like they've been pushing this for, you know, they knew this anniversary was coming up, and they pushed that 2 days ago from this recording, and it took off. It was exciting. I mean, it was just
it peaked at what, like number 1 or 2 on Twitter, something like that.
Yes. Yeah. Not too shabby for, again, just like a little fan thing. Like, hey, let's do this, and you know, you never know. I think this would anything to tell the characters more, if it's Kira, Darth Maul, you know, with Crimson Dawn, any kind of little side story would fit perfect on Disney Plus. Yeah. It's just, it's right there. We know that all the actors did sign like a 3-year movie contract. Mm-hmm. So I think there was high hopes for this to spawn something more. And unfortunately, you know, going back to the original question about did it deliver, I think in wrestling terms, if you're a fan, you're called a smart mark if you know a little bit behind the scenes. And I think in today's world, we're just smarter, or we have more knowledge. Let's just put it that way. I don't know if we're smarter. We have almost too much knowledge. And so, obviously when we were kids, we just showed up a movie, we saw a trailer, and 3 months later or a year later, that movie just showed up. We're like, whoa, I didn't know they were making a Jurassic Park. Okay, great. I want to see dinosaurs. Awesome, Yeah. But now, I mean, the moment, you can go on any kind of TMZ to, what's that one guy's name? Jeez, I'm blanking, like Freaky News, or I forget. Well, anyways, there's all these websites, all these knowledge bases where, hey, this guy's made a sign. This actor is, geared on this project, and all of a sudden we got all this stuff moving. And obviously, with all the drama that went on with Solo, even from a general public perspective, it's like, oh, what's going on with that film? I don't know if I want to get behind that. And the other negative thing you got, it's not Harrison Ford. So it just throws it for a loop because now you're doing a prequel, but everyone's like, well, I'm used to Harrison, so this is going to be weird, Yeah. And I think it faulted on its own. I think it also, here's the real problem in 2018 was The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
So you have The Last Jedi, and then let's just talk about where it dropped in May. You had Infinity War and Deadpool 2 all right there in May, and then you got Solo. Now, again, like we just talked about in the earlier part of the show, May's a hot month for Star Wars. It always has been.
Yep.
A lot of the anniversaries fall on the 25th, but there's, we all have, the prequels all were in May, and so the fact that they kept it in May, I think hurt it a lot. What do you think, guys?
I think with the backlash from The Last Jedi, it was very polarizing for a lot of people, wherever you stood on that. But just some of the recoil and the backlash, I think, was felt by Solo, and I don't think that Solo was as bad as they were making it out to be. Maybe it was just more of a thing of timing rather than content of the movie.
Yeah, that's a good point. I agree with that. I think part of the problem is and they kind of came out and said this, but Bob Iger basically said, I don't want to take the loss, so I dropped it in May kept it in May because they knew Infinity War and Black Panther made them a buttload of money, and now Infinity War made them a ton of money, and they can absorb that loss. If they pushed it to December, that's outside the fiscal year, and it would have to be in the 2019 books, I guess, in a sense. And they didn't want to take that risk. So it is all about the bottom dollar. Yep. And they just said, you know what, we're going to put it right here. And it's a good summer movie, which it is. Yeah. But I think the problem, we're coming so fresh off of Last Jedi, which was divisive to the fan community. And now that we know all this turmoil is going on with the production, it just, it's a hot mess. It's a hot mess.
Well, let me ask this. Do you think that had it been moved to December, obviously for fiscal financial reasons, it probably wouldn't happen, but do you think we would have seen a better reaction and maybe even a higher dollar count for Solo had it moved back later in the year or even December?
Yes. I think, again, summer movies are moving, Endgame came out in April. Now summer, it's like it keeps on pushing, the summer blockbuster usually started in May. Now it's moving to April. But, I think based on the fact of Last Jedi and it had such a small marketing window too. Like they wanted Last Jedi to kind of almost go to DVD, which it did in March. Yeah. We got a Super Bowl tease for the movie in January. And in 5 months, we saw the movie. Now, in The Force Awakens, the 88-second trailer came a year before the movie even came out. Mm-hmm. So, it just wasn't – there wasn't enough time to kind of, okay, now I'm hungry for more Star Wars. It was almost, here you go. I'm going to stuff your face even though you're still digesting Last Jedi. And most of the fan service was like, anti-Star Wars at that point. So it was, I just think December, I love going December, taking off for Christmas and getting to the movie theater more in the summer when you have those 3 movies. You have Solo, Infinity War, and Deadpool 2 trying to win or try to do multiple viewings of all those. It's just too much. You can't do it. In December, it's like, hey, I'm going to take a couple weeks off with the family. Let's go see a movie. And, a Star Wars movie would most likely win, depending on your family. But, I think you would see a little bit more box office success in December.
Yeah. I mean, you're going up against 2 juggernauts in Deadpool and Infinity War. And when you just have this like a side story about a Star Wars story. It's not The Last Jedi. Like if you put Last Jedi in May, I guarantee you that would have been a photo finish for what's going to make the most money, amongst Deadpool or in Infinity War. That would have been more of a spread the money around.
Yeah, and Infinity War had 10 years of trailers. It had a 10-year build-up. So it had its own marketing. It had its own, everything. And I do think the Harrison Ford, deal or issue was big in the Star Wars community. We grew up with Han as Harrison Ford, and he was the guy that got the medal. Yeah. And he was the guy that kissed Leia and married Leia, and he was our hero. Right. And then we're gonna get him replaced by somebody I've never seen before ever, and then I'm supposed to go latch on to this movie. But then now being taken a year later, being more in the books and everything, you understand that this story had just as much of a meaning as any of the other movies that you see it, and it's a stepping stone to bigger things that we're gonna get.
Okay. Very good. Very good. Okay, so where does Solo sit for you compared to the other movies? Like, if we had to rank them, where would it fall for you? I'm going to start with Greg.
All right, so here's my rankings for my Star Wars movies.
I'm ready.
Last Jedi, number 1.
What?
Yep.
Okay.
Empire Strikes Back, number 2. I really had to have a soul-searching moment when I came to that decision. And then Rogue One just took number 3, Force Awakens number 4, and then it goes New Hope, Return of the Jedi, Revenge of the Sith. I would say Solo, Phantom Menace, and then Attack of the Clones.
There it is. Okay. All right, Jeremy, you're up. Where does Solo fit for you?
It's I don't have them all ranked out because they're all a little bit different for me, and being in all of the books and everything, it's kind of hard to. I have a running chronology in my head of everything going on.
You can't just lift it out like Greg did. Come on.
Sorry. I think.
Does it fit more in the front or in the back or in the middle?
I think for me, it's smack dab in the middle because that's what I feel the movie is to me. It's a middle movie. It's a filler movie of stories. And I think squarely, smack dab in the middle.
Yeah. That's good. I'm going to be a nerd like Greg and kind of go through this. So Empire, number 1 for
Great
me.
Choice.
Rogue One is a number 2 for me. This is where it gets a little I would say A New Hope, and then Revenge of the Sith, Return of the Jedi, and then I would probably put Last Jedi, and then Solo, and then probably Attack of the Clones, and then Phantom Menace for me at the bottom there. But wait, I forgot Force Awakens. Dang it.
Squeeze it in there somewhere.
Slap the
3.5.
Squeeze it in. I'll squeeze it in. You know, the thing with Force Awakens, don't get me wrong, it's a great movie. It gets you back in the seats, but it's, you know, from a plot line perspective, it's A New Hope 2.0. So I'm gonna have to put that below Solo for right now. Okay. I know it's kind of low, but I'm gonna put that kind of low right now.
I agree with you, Todd.
Do you find your movies fluctuate?
Yes. The right now it's hard. It probably Empire will always be number one, and I just really like Rogue One.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I feel like it's so good. I really feel too though. Rogue One is, if you watch Revenge of the Sith, Rogue One, and A New Hope, it's like, oh, that's so good, but now you got to fit Solo in there. And in fact, so I say all this. I think if you're a brand new Star Wars film or Star Wars person, Solo is the first one you should watch.
Yeah, that's a good thought.
As crazy as we just said, you know, Jeremy said it's right in the middle. Greg, you said, you know, it's kind of low. I said it was kind of low. But if you're a new person into this kind of fandom, Solo's number one for me. You watch Solo, you watch Solo, then Rogue One, and A New Hope, you're in.
Yep.
I mean, it's just, I find it a fun movie, and it explains the mythos a little bit, you know, but you don't have to know a lot to get into it. It's after multiple viewings, then it actually adds a little bit more value for what, you know, the original trilogy that we all know and love. So there you go.
Yep.
Cool. Any final thoughts about Solo as we celebrate 1 year? Jeremy?
You know, it's something I just noticed today, actually, watching it, and it kind of bugged me in that being new to this whole thing. I was wondering why the Falcon changed from when they left the void that they were in and shot out, and then they land they land at the refinery, and now front nose is missing of the Falcon, and that bugged me a little bit today after watching it. I know the Falcon has changed over the course of adventures. And
well, to answer that question is, before they go into the maelstrom or, you know, black hole with the big monster, Han ejects the escape pod that's in the middle of the two prongs, and basically so the monster kind of heat signatures off of that.
So the front portion was the escape pod.
Yes.
Not where I would put the escape pod out on a ship.
Well, you know, they had to account for something, you know. So, there you go. Greg, any final thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, Star Wars is a book to me. Some chapters hold more value to me than others, but for love of the whole story, it makes it all important. Some of the biggest, just a few tie-ins. I read the comics, I read the books, just like Jeremy. I mean, tying in the Imperial Cadet, getting to read that story where Hans signs up for the Imperials and not being able to see that in a movie was interesting to me. And honestly, I think we got the most beautiful war sequence in any Star Wars movie, and that was Mimban. So I want to see something gritty like that in the future. But other than that, just, you know, the whole finding out with Crimson Dawn, all the cartels and the syndicates and all this, that opens up a whole new world and window for stories that I would like to hear in the future.
Awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, you know, you bring up great points. I think visually this movie's on point. Yep. There's so many good things. The soundtrack, even though it's not John Williams, it is really done well. I love Effie's Nest. I love that. I love Donald Glover as Lando. There's a lot to like, and it took risks. It brought in a Clone Wars story that no one knew that Darth Maul was still alive unless you're a nerd, and this is a deep cut, and they did it in the film, making like cartoons legit, and everyone's like, wait, he's cut in half. I'm like, dude, no. He survived. He was angry, and he ended up on a junk planet and got spider legs. You got to watch it. But he's back, and I just think it adds it bonded things together that were all these different pieces and really kind of expanded the universe in a sense in this film. So it took some risk, and you're right. Like Minbin is like on point as far as like war scene and everything like that. So again, it's Solo. Happy 1 year anniversary. You made it. Maybe if the fans rise up, we get some content on Disney Plus or something like that, or another film. But we shall
There's a rumored third show there, so you never know.
You never know.
Yeah, I think a series would be ideal, because you could spin off all the different branches that they went to in this movie and easily make it week to week or episode to episode, rather than trying to capture another hour and a half, 2 hours of people's time where there's already negative aura around the movie, and then you're gonna make me go sit through a second one. Why would I go do that unless you're people like us that know that have given it its due? So
right. Hey, Make Solo 2 happen was number 1 on trending, for a day. So I think there's some validity there. Yep. So, all right, shall we move on to news of the week?
And now, the Star Wars news of the week.
All right, we teased it earlier, and now it is here. It's been a little slow after Celebration. We had to get back to our lives and do normal stuff. And because Celebration was pretty high on from a Star Wars fandom perspective. But on Wednesday, May 22nd, Vanity Fair blew up the socials, and seriously, like, so many fun pictures of the Rise of Skywalker. Guys, what did you think about those pictures and that article? Jeremy, what did you think?
It was the biggest tease of the year. It sucks that you left with knowing that you want this movie, you want this conclusion, and then they give you that. Yeah. And then, every picture was, just the detail that they put into it, the mystique, all the things that you want out of Star Wars, and there it was, and then you can't have it. You can't have it for 7 more months.
Yep. You can't. Nope.
Yeah.
Nope. Got 7 months to wait. Sorry. Greg, what say you? What did you think of all the pictures in the article from Vanity Fair?
I woke up that morning and logged on to Twitter there, and the first image I saw was the Knights of Ren, and I was like, yes, this is what I wanted to see right here. I'm happy to see that they're back. Yeah. The fact that, kind of like we're talking about expectations, everyone's thinking that this new planet Posana was going to be Jakku or Jeddah or Tatooine. We're all wrong again. It's something completely new.
Right. Right.
But yeah.
Still sand. It's still sand.
And as
still
Anakin
sand.
Still hates it. But we still love it in our movies.
That's right. Again, all the pictures in Vanity Fair have always been on point. I think the problem is, some of them don't make it to film.
Yeah.
So it goes back, Phantom Menace had Obi-Wan and Darth Maul in a sandy place fighting each other. That didn't show up in the movie. There's one with Force Awakens. Captain Phasma is at Maz's castle, and she's got this cool, like, burnt out building behind her, and there's a fire right next to her, and she's all like kind of lit up, and she looks awesome. And Captain Phasma is not on Tokadanda, so it's like, oh, okay. So which one? There's a couple of them. Which one is fake? Like which one is just for publicity in a sense? And like the one that blew me out of the water, obviously was Luke and R2D2. I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm ready for that. I don't know if is that a dream sequence? Is that a flashback? What are we doing? Or is that just they had Mark Hamill wasn't doing anything and like, hey, can you put on?
Can you come on down for a little bit?
Yeah. I mean, it's such a great shot. It's such a great shot. So the article, there's a huge article with the pictures. And so if you didn't want to read that, that's fine. We'll give you the cliff notes right here. Carrie Russell plays Zori Bliss. Dude, this costume is amazing. It's amazing. There's going to be a new snow planet. We like sand and snow. So Snow Planet is called Kaijimi or something like that. Greg mentioned this new planet, Pisana. Local inhabitants are called Aki. I mean, this is Star Wars, so we gotta, we saw some leaked photos of this. It was like Finn and Poe riding some horses, but the creatures Finn and Janna are riding are called Orbax. And then our good friend Richard E. Grant plays a new role, Allegiant General Pride.
Love that photo.
I mean, it's right there. It's General Pride. Yeah. There's a great shot of him and Hux just looking very First Order Imperial-ish. Great thing. And Greg already mentioned it. The Knights of Ren are back. And there is some Eagle Eye fans. There is a Solo tie-in. There's a staff in Dryden Voss's little trophy chamber that looks very similar to one of the staffs that the Knights of Ren are holding. So you never know. Solo. There might be a tie-in there. I don't know.
Well,
I was on
Kira leaving to go with meet up with Maul. The Sith connection. Never know where they end up.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's always exciting to see new stuff. And Jeremy said it best. It's like, we got to wait 7 months for this, but thanks for the tease.
We got D23 coming up. I'm sure we'll get some new stuff. And then,
yes. Yeah. There's still more. Don't worry. There's still more.
And Monday Night Football.
Yeah, exactly. We still at least probably in October. That's when it'll drop the next trailer, and then tickets will go on sale, and then we'll rush to get those, and then just have to wait another 3 months, and then we'll get there. So, yeah. Next up, Star Wars boss hints there won't be any more character spin-off movies like Solo. So Kathleen Kennedy, this was kind of. It was hinted at, but basically during the this Vanity Fair article, it kind of basically said Kathleen Kennedy has hinted that there won't be any more Star Wars character spinoffs like Solo. Yeah, it's just again, she was saying rather than a movie a year approach Disney has done since 2015, they've kind of put on the brakes. There was, there's been rumors, Obi-Wan was in production, Boba Fett was in production, all these different other things, or a Yoda film or whatever. They basically they really just basically said, now we're not doing what Marvel has done. We're going to kind of take it back and just do more of these story arcs than just a single character arc thing. So I think, like we said earlier, I think Disney Plus is an avenue where they could do that and do a movie quality thing, then put our butts back in the seats in a big theater. I think you could get that same pleasure out of watching a TV show. Yep. So there you go. That was that. All right. Let's see what else we got. Okay. Here's a fun thing. Now, you guys are in California, right? Galaxy's Edge is coming out May 31st, or it's been out. It's just no one has. The public is finally going to see it. But here are 4 creatures you'll be tasked with searching for in Galaxy's Edge. So we talked about this last week in our news week. Really, you're going to get an app on your phone that turns into like a data pad in Star Wars terms, and you can hack and slice and do all these crazy things with your phone in the app, and it's going to be pretty crazy. But then there's more, and now they're taking into another level of like Pokemon, and you got to go hunt these creatures. And now you're in Batu, and now you got to use your data pad, and there's 4 creatures you have to choose from, and one of them is a deep cut. So first one, Minok.
Okay.
So if you're not familiar with a Minok, that is the Empire Strikes. Princess Leia does not like Minoks, nor does C-3PO. They were the ones chewing on the Falcon, and they're kind of like a bat. They're like a bat with a suction cup. That's what a Minok is. A Dianaga, and you're like, what the heck is that? Well, again, these are Star Wars names, and that is the trash compactor garbage monster that that strangles Luke, and Luke, Mark Hamill popped a blood vessel filming that and everything like that. Now here's the deep cut. Commitment, exactly. This is called a Ola Palm, and you're like, what the heck is Ola Palm? Well, this is literally, I think this is from Naboo.
You've seen this?
I think.
No. Okay.
No, I don't think we've seen it. It's tough to spot because Alapams are all about camouflage. The Alapam is a green swamp creature that looks kind of like a lily pad on the top and a 6-legged rat underneath. Only in Star Wars. So you got a lily pad in the front and then a 6-legged rat on the bottom. And then, getting creepy, going deep on the Clone Wars, brainworms. Ooh. The last creature on the list. Brainworms are hanging out in people's brains, but can also be found slithering in water as well. So there you have it. Again, Galaxy's Edge opens May 31st at Disneyland, and then August 29th at Disney Hollywood Studios. Jeremy, you're going.
I am.
Give us some detail.
Yeah, so we're going the 10th through the 14th, and we do have a reservation from. We got the initial reservations by staying at the Disneyland Hotel because you were guaranteed, to be able to get in there. So we weren't sure what was going to happen with the general public that they were going to allow. What was going to go in there. Then we found out that we're only getting 4 hours, so we were pretty disappointed. We were like, oh, we're going to go in this time, and we'll go to the next day, and we'll check it out multiple times. But nope, only going to get 4 hours of.
4 hours.
So we're got to pack it all in, and we do have backup reservations just in case. So
okay,
we're gonna see if we get multiple experiences. Probably not, knowing Disney.
Oh, nice. Yeah,
you're listening right now, Jeremy.
So
you're not going to. Just kidding.
That's.
So what you're saying is you're trying to see if you can get back in the same day.
No, we have different time slots. We'll
okay.
That just in case. But so it's basically pick our spot that we guarantee we want to go into, and then we're gonna see how it works.
Nice, yeah. Well, we're definitely gonna have you back on the show for behind the scenes of Galaxy's Edge, and how that experience was. But that's super exciting. I mean, it's huge. It's. Heather and I talked about this last week in the show. It's just like, it's kind of like Celebration and Ren Fair like meet together in this weird. It's like it's almost again, Disneyland, Disney World. It's designed to be a fantasy land where your dreams come true, and this Star Wars thing is legit. And the time and effort they're putting into making this this whole little world and putting it into somewhat of a canon kind of spot. This is a deep cut, man, and this is gonna be kind of crazy. So I'm interested to see once it releases to the public how big it really is. So
yeah, that's
I heard your podcast,
Yeah.
and then I came home and I told the girlfriend and I told my friends, I'm like, oh, you should hear about this app thing that they're going to on the Play app. It's going to be amazing. Like
it's adding that extra element into your everyday, whatever you're going to visually see. And now you're going to be on your phone as well. And you can hack droids. And I'm just like, okay. I don't know if my mind can handle this, I don't know if my mind can handle this.
I don't know about standing in line for 3 hours to get a drink, but I'm going to try to experience as much as I can.
Right. You see a droid walk by as you're in line, I think I can hack that. I'm going to try that, and then finally, Disneyland is hiring stormtroopers to help with managing crowds at new Star Wars attraction. Okay. So this is kind of fun. So we just talked about this, Galaxy's Edge. You can say move along like 1,000 times and get paid for it. So, I already joked about this. I want to be kicked out. Like I'm going to stick to the cantina and you're going to have to kick me out because I'm going to be on my third, bad motivator IPA or whatever. And I'm not
Make your own
man.
Star Wars story, Todd.
That's right. Exactly. So as Jeremy's kind of explaining, they're only 4-hour windows. Each one, you're basically going to get a wristband that kind of gives you a timestamp, and like after that's up, there's going to be stormtroopers literally walking around, interacting with the crowd, and like move along. You got to get out of here because there's 20 other thousand people that are trying to get into this thing. So if you're interested, if you want to get a job and be paid, I don't know how good the benefits are and what the pay is, but they just recently. Star Wars auditions were held Friday at the Onstage Dance Center in Downen. The park is looking for performers that are average between 5'10" and 6 feet tall. Mm-hmm. So you got to be in that range. You have to be slender to athletic build. So if you're a little on the chunky side, I guess what they're saying is like. You can't fit that bill, but so it's really tight. You got like 2 or 3 inches, like 5'10", 6. That's where you got to be, and you got to be a little slender, and you could be in. You could be in. That's your one way where you won't get kicked out, and you could be there the whole day. Yeah. Mind you, you'll be sweating your butt off in stormtrooper gear, but you get to be a first order stormtrooper in Galaxy's Edge. I mean, what do you guys think about that?
I wonder how many people are going to sneak in their 501st gear and try to get into the bathrooms and then come out as a stormtrooper just to see if they can stay there.
More or less, I'm just going to suit up now, and then I'm just going to walk in and say, hey, I'm picking up this shift.
You dress up before you get on the airplane. You make a whole film about it. You get off and you walk right into Disneyland and say, where do I stand?
Like you said, it's like a short film. You're just like, I'm going to dress up right now and just walk right in.
Yeah, I'm surprised they're not going to reach out like to you guys' like legions and different things rather than paying employees, the way they do it, rather than
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I think again, they being at Disney World or whatever. I mean. They have Captain Phasma and the troops, and they're legit. They do a really good job of doing what stormtroopers should be doing, and they do interact with the crowd. They stick to a script in a sense, but they're still, interactive, and you see all those great videos of. A kid's dressed up as BB-8 and they take him back to see Kylo Ren. And it's great. It's great for the fans. It's great for the community. It does a real good job. But I really feel like they're going to have a ton more stormtroopers.
Well, everybody's going to want to experience being kicked out by a stormtrooper. So who's all going to leave? I want to stick around and
I'm already saying it. If I was there, that 4-hour window, I'd be like, I ain't leaving, man, until they kick me out.
Hang around the bathroom for a while.
Exactly. So there you have it. So if you wanna do that, you can. So all right, shall we move on to Katina Chat? All right, so every week, if you guys are not familiar with this, we just kind of, we want to know what's going on during the week. It doesn't have to be Star Wars related, but we want to keep it geeky, So I'll start with you, Jeremy. What's been going on this week? Anything geeky? Anything fun?
Well, I'm out of books to listen to, so I'm going back. I'm re-listening to Dooku again.
It's so good.
Very good.
I was texting Greg yesterday, and I was like, "Oh, you know what? I just heard in Dooku. I didn't hear the first time. Was a Caleb Doom reference that he was taking on Initiate Doom in his in the trials." And I was like, "Oh, there's a little Kanan Jarrus mix in," and so I was. At that, I've watched Solo, knowing that you invited us to come on. I probably watched Solo about 72 times.
You got to do some homework,
My friend was like,
you
"You're
gotta do some
studying
homework
again?"
there.
And I was like, "Yeah, I gotta know. I gotta at least compete at half the level Greg's at, because he's and then listening to you guys where you're at. I don't want to come on here and just bomb."
Hey, no. We didn't start with like a 20 page quiz, I think that's why I like Celebration so much, because you kind of have those anxieties coming back in, like, am I Star Wars enough to be here? Like, are they gonna, pop quiz on the fly? Like, oh, dude, what's the what's the shuttle called that Emperor Palpatine comes in? I don't know. So you know what? I was a kid with Aaron too. He doesn't have any action figures. I'm like, dude, how can you not have a Star Wars action figure? Like, what's going on with you? But I'm in the business of saying I really want to know, like, what is your Star Wars story? And I was kind of bummed that they changed. Originally, it was called like Star Wars Anthology, and I thought that was cooler looking, or sounded cooler. But with Star Wars story, it's like everyone does have a Star Wars story. Yeah. So it doesn't matter if you have, 20,000 action figures in your basement, or you just have one Star Wars shirt. I don't care.
Yeah.
You still love Star Wars. It's not about always about the stuff. It's just, what you love and what you like. So that's great. Anything else, Jeremy? What's going on?
No. I live in the Marvel world. That's my life.
That's your jam. That's your jam.
That is my jam.
Yeah.
My obsession with everything Marvel is now picked up in the Star Wars world, so it helps.
That's awesome. Awesome. You're expanding your nerdom. Exactly. That's good. That's good. And how many times did you see Endgame?
I have seen it 4 times in the theaters.
Nice. Yeah. Well done.
I've lost countless hours of sleep thinking of all the... I think I've messaged you quite a bit on this, and Greg, it's there's a lot of bad taste that was left in my mouth. Even with how good the movie was and things that were left. Now I got to gear up.
Yeah, I know. We were Instagramming back and forth, and I'm like, once you get into time travel, you're gonna mess up your mind. You're gonna mess up your mind. So, yeah, but it's sad seeing that kind of close, and we mentioned this on our review episode of Endgame. It's like I was already thinking, like, how are they gonna do that in Rise of Skywalker? Like, I'm trying to already kind of like, are they going to add some nostalgia? Or are they just going to stick with the sequels? Like, I'm already kind of like playing that on my head. I'm like, if I start thinking about this too much, my brain is going to explode. So I'm just like, okay, it's a 3-hour movie. It does a pretty good job of keeping you entertained.
Absolutely.
So So Greg.
Yes,
what happened this week? Anything fun? Anything
Well,
exciting?
I'm on a Star Wars podcast. So I'm going to talk Star Wars. I think about Star Wars daily on some level.
Okay.
So I think besides obviously the Vanity Fair article that came out this week, which was huge. But I think some other huge news would be the fact that it sounds like someone might be potentially writing a Knights of the Old Republic screenplay. Just going back to my days playing Knights of the Old Republic, it's a fantastic game with some amazing characters, and that's what really got me excited this week.
Yeah. I think you think, the popularity of all these new shows, I mean, Breaking Bad to Games of Thrones that just ended, it's like TV is totally different, and it's changed, and how we view things has changed, and all these kind of consumer driven television is really taken off. And I think, Knights of the Old Republic, even though KOTOR is like one of the best games ever, a wider audience might not like it so much in a theater setting. But I think, again, Disney Plus is where it's at, and it could really be awesome.
Yeah.
So cool. Awesome. For me, I finished Most Wanted, which is an Audible, or I read it or listened to it. It's hard for me to say. I listened to it, and I just finished that. And so that's a prequel to Solo. It just happy accidents. It was like I blew out all my credits. I'm like, I'm going to check this out. And I was in my queue for a little bit, so I got through a bunch of stuff, and now I got to it. And then we were doing the Solo, and I just finished it yesterday. So I'm like, this is great. So a really good book. Like, I really enjoyed it. And again, it expands a little bit of the back history of Kira and Solo, and how she's a planner and Solo's more on the fly, and they go through all this stuff, and it's really good. I really enjoyed it. And I was like, again, make Solo 2's happening. I'm like, I want to see a little bit more of this. I want to see, this playground. I want to see this interaction with them. And, I find them very interesting. And it kind of added a little bit to looking at Solo and what the mindsets between Kira and Han and all that. I really did enjoy that book. Yeah. So finished that. And did you guys read that? Did you guys read that?
I have not read that one.
It's good. It's I'm using air quotes. It's a young adult novel, but some of the young adult novels are still very good, and I really found that it was fascinating, and it's a good read. It's a good read, so I recommend it.
Pirates Price being a young adult was kind of it was good.
Yeah, I haven't read that one. Is that good?
It is very good.
Have you done
okay?
It actually ties in well to the Galaxy's Edge lead up, so it's
nice.
It's pretty key.
Nice.
With the young adults, have you done Lost Stars yet, or anything like that?
Oh yeah, I mean,
Lost Stars that's considered young adult. So I was like, that's an amazing book too. Claudia Gray's
yes, Lost. Yeah, I if there's a couple books that I would recommend, Lost Stars is definitely on that list for the new canon. I was like, I mean, it's Romeo and Juliet, Juliet. That's coming up next. There's Romeo and Juliet kind of storyline, but it really ties into Force Awakens and kind of gives you a little bit of history, and I really enjoyed that. So
spans the original saga, and it tells where they were at key points in those movies. It's really great.
Yes. Yeah, and you kind of understand. I mean, you understand like seeing kind of that graveyard of where Jakku is and what that means and how it all ended up there, and it kind of really does a good job of that. So, and then finally, next week, this is where Joliet came from. I am trooping at the Joliet Library, and this is kind of a big event for us for the Midwest Garrison. This is our 10-year anniversary, and so again, it just encourages people to read and get out there and support your local library. And so this is one of the events that we kind of sponsored and worked with Joliet Library, and it's a really big event. And so we're going to have 501st, Rebel Legion, Mando Mercs, all of them. So if you're in the Midwest, you want to come out, come June 1st. It's 11 to 3 or 4, I think. And we have a parade, a small parade. But the cool thing, guys, you would know this. You saw the Rogue One tank at Celebration. It will be functional and driving in the parade.
Holy moly.
So if you don't want to go to Jeddah, you can go to Joliet and check it out live. And I had an opportunity last year. I was able to ride or walk alongside of it, and I was crying in the inside. I was just like, what am I doing here? What is happening? And then it was funny because one of my good friends, Joe, shout out to Joe, he got cards made. So I have a baseball card that is photoshopped with Jeddah in the background, but we're live in the foreground, and I'm just like, what is happening? What am I doing with my...
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I think I got out of the card. So yeah,
I actually thought that was actually. I was like, "Whoa, were you actually in Rogue One?" And this was like the scene.
Yeah, no, that was Joliet. That was downtown Joliet. So, yeah. So we didn't have to travel to Jeddah. But anyways, yeah. So next week, June 1st, that is happening at Joliet, Illinois. So if you're in the Midwest area, you want to make the trek. It's really great because it's a super huge concentration of like all cosplayers. And so you don't get to see that scope. So, we're going to have multiple Vaders, multiple Kylos, all the different hero characters. And so they usually don't do that and be technical. And like in 501st thing, usually you only have a couple of hero characters, but you can see all the different hero characters and just a great celebration of being Star Wars and being geeky. So, again, next week, June 1st, that's happening. So, well, it's that time already, guys. We've had so much fun, but I think we need to put a nice wrap on this. So, thanks again for listening to another episode of WSTR Galactic Public Access. Once again, you can check us out on social media at WSTR Media, all one word, all lowercase. We want to hear from you. So comment, tweet, rate us on iTunes. You can email us at mailbox@wstrmedia.com. Leave us a voicemail at 630-557-WSTR. That's 630-557-9787. You can leave us a voicemail. We can play it up in an upcoming podcast. Let us know what you thought about Solo. I mean, it's been a year. Maybe you rewatched it and maybe, have a different lens on it. Or if you're still like hating on Phantom Menace and 20 years later, you're like, I'm going to watch it again. And, there could be that too. So yeah, we just, let us know, comment, tweet, rate us, call us, whatever. Smoke signal, carrier pigeon, whatever you want, we'll take all the messages. You can also catch our back catalog of episodes at podcast.wstrmedia.com. And as we mentioned earlier, we got merch, store.wstrmedia.com. All right, guys, before we go, where can everyone find you on the socials? Jeremy, where can people find you?
Socials, Instagram, I'm j.my.darksider. And
wait a minute. You said you're a Marvel guy and you have a Star Wars handle.
I never did the whole Instagram, Twitter thing until about a year ago. And I was at the buzz of getting into about a year and a half now, maybe. So Greg assisted me on bringing me, like I said, into the dark side. He's a big Empire guy, and fell into the trap and got consumed into it. So, that's Instagram, awesome. Twitter at jmy42077. So, yeah.
Oh, okay. That's convenient. That's a good birthday, right, man? Nice, dude. Nice. Awesome. Greg, where can people find you?
You can find me at Instagram at gsferrero85 and also on Twitter at money_moose.
Awesome. That's great. That's great. Gentlemen, it's been a pleasure.
Absolutely.
I'm glad we could actually do this again and continue our conversation that we started in Celebration. And definitely want to have you guys on again. This is not the last time, but I really appreciate you guys coming on and talking a little Star Wars. And you were able to do your first Star Wars podcast.
Hey.
So I'm glad you chose us. So I appreciate that so much, guys. I really do.
All right.
Oh,
Thanks,
yeah.
Todd.
Love listening to you guys. And it was a pleasure chatting with you in between Celebration and now. So I'm appreciative.
Yeah.
And I know, I told you when you reached out to me, I said, I know Greg. Heck yeah, I know he'd love it too. So
yeah, right. Don't leave Greg out. He'll kill me. You know? No, it's all good. It's all good. Next week, episode 125, we continue to look at the Phantom Menace. We talked about this in our Phantom Menace review. We're going to review the behind the scenes documentary and kind of talk about that. So it's kind of surfaced now since the 20 year. And they have like a little behind the scenes documentary, which looking forward to looking at that. And if you were, this also dropped this week on StarWars.com. They did basically an oral history of the Phantom Menace, and it's fascinating. I haven't got all the way through it, but George Lucas is on there, Doug Chang, like all, John Knoll, all Rick McCallum, like all these big people that were investing in this, getting Phantom Menace off the ground. It's quite fascinating. So check that out on StarWars.com, and you can check all the history behind the Phantom Menace, which is, that's for us geeks. That's where the nitty gritty is. And I'm big. I love the art of books and the visual dictionaries. Like those are my jam too. So if you want to get in some.
Yeah, I got them all. They're great.
Yeah, they're great. They're just fun. It just adds, because with any film, there's so much detail that goes on, and a lot of times it's 4 seconds on film, and you're like, oh, I kind of wanted to see that better. And the visual dictionary and the art of books really help kind of expand that geekdom a little bit. So
I mean, with the art books, I mean, you think about it, everyone goes back to Ralph McQuarrie art and drawings for the inspiration for what's current. I think these books down the road, 10, 15, 20 years, those artists are going to be turning to these books and for that inspiration.
Yeah, they're so good. They're so good. So we're just plugging them. Go on Amazon, look at them, and try to get them. They are fantastic. And a couple weeks ago too, they dropped the journey to the Rise of Skywalker and all the books that they're going to do, and one of them was the art of book, and the cover just like exploded and blew my mind. So I spent a whole podcast just talking about that. So anyways, we got to wrap this up. So guys, you gotta help me out, because Heather and Aaron, they're just like,
shame on them.
They're no shows. So we end this awkwardly every time, and since it's the Phantom Menace and we do this, so I hope you guys can help me out on this. All right.
Absolutely.
All right. So this is
podcasting. All right.
Good, Todd.
Excellent. Thanks, Todd.
Good. Yep. No problem, guys.
All right.